Yeah. All right. Good morning, good morning, good morning. And how are y'all this morning? Good, 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 good. Okay. Big package, big package. This is the May tape. Now, somewhere out in the universe, a May tape had been made, half a tape. And it was brilliant. So, because I actually made it and then it just somewhat disappeared somehow, that knowledge is floating out there in the universe for you to use. So, I'm plugging into that tape with my thought because it was real. I had it in my hand. I made it. I don't remember what it was about, but it was great. And so we're going to start this tape off by tuning into that May tape. There, it's all yours. Okay, now, other great thoughts are going to drift into you. See, basically the tape was made in this spot. It was really good. So the Akashic records are still here. So I bring that past May tape into the present moment. I concentrate on it. It comes through my mind, goes from the mind into the tape because it's an open channel there. All I do is breathe out like that, and that knowledge is transferred to this tape, and it goes into your subconscious mind somewhere along the line, and it was a fabulous tape. So, moving right along now, just a small little magical thing. Let me give you a little more piece on that, just in case. As a person who is capable of moving forward and backwards in time because of your multidimensional self, you can pull past events into the present time. Now, you can really pull them into the present time, especially the energy of them, because you and the past, because you stay in the present moment, all blend into that second, and you have the ability to acquisition the material. Now, you don't have to run it through your physical brain. In other words, what was the matter, what was the material about, any of those things. Basically, you knew what you did, and so therefore it's your reality. Therefore, you just pull that knowledge back. It basically, because all of it is God, it goes into the space that you are. It travels through the space in the tape until your ear and the vibratory elements around your ear in terms of clairaudience picked up in the tape the essence of whatever that was about, because when you're listening to the tape, it's present moment. See, so even though I made this tape in the past, the coding is in the electrical field, and the electromagnetic field, I might add. And so therefore, as you hear the tape in that present moment, because you're there, the energy releases, because that's its command. It's a present moment thought, and it'll only be released in the present moment. Therefore, just by you hearing it, it is released into your energy field, and you pick up the material. Now, just because you didn't hear it, it doesn't really matter. It sort of works like a subliminal tape would work. Now, I'm sure you've all heard the principle of that one. It's a vibration. It goes into the head. It goes through different wavelengths like alpha and beta and delta, and depending on how it's done. And that is then registered into the thinking qualities of the brain, and it becomes qualified with inside of there. You are said to receive benefits, therefore, from the subliminal tapes. Like if you repeat different things through the night, you can break habits and stuff like that. But basically, as that refinement will be brought into a more awakening state in terms of present-day knowledge, the vibratory body that you are, when it tunes into God, and it tunes into the present moment, what you're doing when you're listening to this tape, vibrates at a certain rate of speed. It's almost as if you become unconscious while you're listening to the tape. because your senses shut off as you're listening, which heightens the electromagnetic field that you are, that vibration that you are. And because the tapes deal with God, basically, you've already allowed your higher vibratory rates to plug in just by knowing that this tape, is going to deal with that aspect. As you stretch to listen to what it is that I say, you'll notice that your energy field extends out and therefore can pull in the more subtle attributes that are capable of being carried through an electromagnetic tape, which is the material that was on the May tape. This is a basic metaphysical principle that I'm teaching you right now, as to how things are done that I do, so that the tape that you're hearing is much more than a tape, by far. It's chock full of good things. If I was like meditating, like which I was before I did this tape, so I'm sort of like in this kind of a space, and I'm sure that can be reflected in the sound of my voice, because I'm more like, yeah, kind of space, The body that I'm using and occupying and sending out tonal expressions from is also sending onto the tape tonal expressions from the more sensitive body. Because as I sit here, for instance, and if I close my eyes, which I'll do now, and then I start to speak to you, I notice that I become more sensitive by far to even more encompassing things, because even with my eyes closed, I'm still watching all of the light dimensions and everything. But as I close my eyes, I can enhance the subtler bodies. And through that enhancement, there's a feeling of love and a sensitivity of love that I have with the whole, not because I'm shutting down part of the physical, but by reflecting within and tuning within and then receiving from without. And I can do this with my eyes now opened or shut. I can feel that aspect of God as it touches my being. And within that essence of that touch, I can express to you that oneness that just kind of rolls through me and then fills part of the space between each of the vibrations of the sounds that comes from my voice. And yet I know that I can enhance that essence, because in that moment that you feel the divine and the moment that you touch your essence, you can somehow pass that feeling on, if not through the voice, but through the voice to guide you into that space that goes beyond, into that, feeling, that other multidimensional being that, as time itself slows, and like as the tape records the voice, it goes like sound and then space, and then sound and then space. And as the voice changes as volume and octaves, and between those light bands that spread out, there's that space between the colors and the sound. And within that space, where that God is, reaches into that essence and extends out through the tape, and that feeling of God touches somewhere within your vibratory rate, that piece of you that is extending and reaching as it listens to what it is that I say. And as it extends and becomes more sensitive to its feeling body, it pulls in between the sounds of my voice those extra things, that godlike experience that we all work for and to share with, as we become part of the whole, as we drift into that space where that God lives, and between the words and the fragments of the words, lives the very essence of what it is that we're reaching for within this tape and in all things. As we extend to get that extra piece, that feeling. And so that's sort of like, the example of how it's done. And then as I begin to speed up my voice and start to laugh, you go, whoa, and you can feel your bodies adjust. You can feel yourself like, oh, wow, he's talking now. Oh, yeah, right. Wow, what happened? Where was he? Whoa. Just in the subtlety of the voice, the subtlety of the energy, somehow, within all of that is that God, that thing that we search for. And in the subtlety of understanding within these tapes are those essences that I reach for and I search for, and then I slide right on into the tape as I reach within inside of myself to reach within inside of you, because we're reaching all within the same thing, the space, and then touch that, and then reach it, and then experience it. That's what makes these tapes great. So, you go over the beginning of this tape, and you learn how this is done. And you reach inside of yourself, and you go into those other dimensions. Now, when you want to share something with another human being, and you want to share something in a special way, you use the material that was in the beginning of this tape, and you can, when you're talking with people, the sound is an important aspect, but it is only one of the many aspects that goes through the human body. You see, the direction of the sound, the direction of the voice, as you, I'm sure, have begun to pick up as a human being throughout your life, you have learned that sometimes when you raise your voice, you get a certain energy. You lower your voice, you get a certain energy. You've observed that in movies they use certain sounds that become scary or pleasant or happy or fun or bizarre or unique. And by these sounds, they can alter your moods. They can change. Dun 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 dun. What is coming up? Or da 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 da. And that's another gig. So all of these different vibrations deal with sometimes pausing and heightening, extending, retracting, pulling back, using the sound of your voice. Now, if your voice has been being used properly and you're extending it in truth, you see, you're going to create other vibrations, because as you extend the truth, within that knowingness, whether you talk fast or whether you talk slow or whether you talk quickly or whether you talk, whatever, the feeling of the knowingness comes through. And it is an experience that is picked up by other bodies who are capable of tuning into that vibratory rate. Now, all humans can pick up to the vibratory rate of truth and love, but to the degree other individuals choose to hear whatever it is that you're saying depends on the level of belief that you have in what it is that you're saying within inside of yourself. Now, the more you talk within truth to the self, then as you speak, this is what should be coming out of you, truth. And it should be matching what you feel and sense to be accurate within inside of all your faculties, so that whatever it is that comes out of your mouth should be expressing whatever it is that you truly know all the way across the board. Now, if that's what you express to people, it doesn't matter how it sounds. There are those feelings, that essence, that knowingness, that truth that just comes on through, and people feel that. And they go, wow, that was good. Whatever they said, that was good, because I felt that inside. Now, that's what we're all supposed to sort of be doing. Not sort of, but, doing. If we just keep expressing our truth, and it doesn't matter what that is, see, who cares what that is? It's whatever it is for you in that moment. That's your truth. So if you're in the moment and you're expressing yourself, you're giving out divinity. You're giving out God. You're enhancing in the space those feelings and senses that can be carried through your voice, through tapes, by just speaking to yourself. All of these wonderful things. It's sort of like all these things can be experienced in all of the fields that are around you, in all of the things that you do, because the vibrations that you put out are just great vibrations. It's just you and God being truthful. Now, I don't know how that I'm getting a lot of banging around with the mic here, so it's a super sensitive mic. And so if in the background you notice these little things, that's just me trying to adjust. I've never seen so many cars come out of nowhere. I'm actually taking a look here because there's too many cars. I just drove up here and it was only like 4 cars. 6 have passed me coming down the hill already. I'm just taking this moment to be aware of the obvious. So, what's unique is I hear another one, I just can't see it. Okay. Oh, there it is. Whew. Gee, it looks like the company car. Can't be. It is. Here we are at the top of the mountain. I'm observing cars, and here comes my office staff. So just hang on 1 second. Okay, we're back on the air. Testing 1, 2, 3. Okay. We are now in another place, miles, in terms of light years away from where we originally were. Okay, testing. All right. Okay, yeah, this is the May tape, and I know it's the May tape because every time I start to make this tape, something comes up. Now, I counted the cars, and there were 2 cars that were unaccountable for. And so I thought I'd kind of give you a quick report on that, kind of completing on that. Like, I know somewhere in this tape, because this is like hours and hours and hours later, somewhere in the tape I had mentioned that there was a number of cars coming up, and then, like this was 2 seconds ago for you, I'm sure. And I counted the cars, not being aware of the obvious right off the bat until I saw that there were more than there should have been. And so then I counted them. Now, I've observed this unique phenomenon before, and I'm sure that if I give you an insight as to how it works, you'll be able to get an insight on this one yourself. And we'll keep talking about the energies in the space and the finer vibrations that are within the space itself as things move around. But basically, let's take care of the car thing, because it did come up, so therefore the universe maybe wanted me to say something about it, so I will. Cars. Sometimes if you're noticing, you're driving down the road, and all of a sudden you'll notice a car, it just doesn't seem like it should be there. It seems kind of like out of place. And it's just driving in the flow of traffic. It's so subtle, it's nothing that you would go, oh wow, look at that. Because it doesn't attract any energy. That's kind of what it's like. Now, I've observed here within the last few months, I've seen several vehicles that were not from this dimension in this time, but were actual physical vehicles just kind of driving down the road. When you see these vehicles, you can tell that even the dirt on them is old dirt. It's not like anything new. So I've been observing this unique phenomena lately, just kind of pointing it out to you in case you've been wondering yourself. Okay, so that takes care of the car thing. Yes, they came up. It was my company car, and that's what I had to do. I had to go down and take care of business. Now I'm taking care of business on the tape again. This time, we're out here on my land. because I want to make the tape. I don't, and this is where I'm at, so this is where I'll make it. In this first section of the tape, I talked about how to use the energy and how things that you say to other people are important. Now, in terms of a teaching tool, as we use our voice to make points and to affect things, we will become more aware of the fact that we are using a change within the tone of our voice to influence a thought a certain way. Now, if you're going to influence a thought a certain way, you want to make sure that it's, really supporting the universe and you're part of the universe, rather than directing a thought in a certain way where it's not going to produce that effect. Because whatever you put out is what you get back. So you want to kind of watch what it is that you're putting out. As you become more aware of the moments in time, you're going to start to notice that all things, you're just going to start to notice you're noticing a lot more of these things, that you're starting to notice, oh yeah, I remember distinctly when I said this in that way, and that's the way it was going to be thought of, and yeah, that's what I wanted, perfect. And you can't get into guilt like, oh wow, I should have said this differently, I should have done this differently. No, it just is what it is. And you just keep right on rolling. Now, let's see, where are we in the scheme of things? Dun, dun, dun. Oh, you know what? Joy. I heard the term mentioned to me probably about 5 or 6 times today, so I'll go with joy for just a little bit. Inside these vibrations that we put off, you know what happens like when you're telling the truth, or you're really feeling that you're putting out a truth, or you feel it like you're really in the flow, you'll notice that there's kind of like a smile in your heart, like a true joy, a real bubble of fun, kind of a sense of inside. You know what I mean? It's subtle, it's unique, and yet when you are speaking that which you believe inside, and that which matches up the words that you have in your head, and you're not changing things so that people so that you have to leave words out of your basic thoughts because you think a person's not going to understand what you're going to say. When you finally say everything you need to say in the way you need to say it in a loving way, there is joy within inside of your being, because every vibration of you, every part of you knows that what is coming out of the audible mouth, that world which creates in this physical domain of which we appear to have some attachment to, as the joy comes out of our mouth, because it matches everything in our universes, that means all the bodies, that feeling, that essence is what rolls through other people. Now, that joy is experienced by other people to the degree that they can experience it. Now, whether they're having a good day or a bad day, when you come into their energy field, even if you don't say anything, just by saying nothing, if that's your truth, then that's perfect, because within you, you are sharing a feeling of, hey, I'm cool just the way I am. Everything's working out just perfectly. I don't need to participate any more or less than I am. I'm just in the flow. People recognize that in you. They see that avenue to the degree that they're ready to recognize it. Now, whether they're in a plus framework or a minus framework, your presence, if you're truly honoring yourself in a loving way, by being true to yourself, your very presence will give to them a sense of well-being, a certain feeling of that everything's okay, that everything's fine, and still allow them to have their up or down in the day. See, you're just there to share within the up or the down, because you're not taking it personally. You're just expressing your truth. And if they're interested in sharing within it, fine. If they're not interested in sharing with you, fine. You're just being true to yourself. And that love emanates off your body. Now, whether they pick up on it or don't pick up on it, it really doesn't matter. You're not here to give them a sense or a feeling of well-being anyhow. You're here to honor the God that lives within you. You're here to honor yourself as the creative force and as the understanding consciousness that has discovered it is part of this giant essence, and as such that it is capable of tuning into this giant essence. And that within this essence, the space, the sound, the life, the joy, those feelings that we have that come off of the physical cell. See, every one of the cells, every one of the molecules, every one of the atoms produces its own entirely different vibratory rate. And all those little tiny rates are there to, enhance your day or de-enhance your day, but basically just to show you that you're alive. And then to the degree that you choose to see yourself in that alive mode, is the degree that, you can feel that love within inside of yourself. Sometimes if you're having a bad day, that love is just enough to give you that smile and kind of, chill out on that kind of a day. And sometimes you're having a good day, and all of a sudden you feel that joy, and all of a sudden you think to yourself, you know what? I don't need to pump anything. I'm just going to kind of flow with this and really enjoy the essence of what this is about. And so the joy really doesn't have anything to do with good or bad or right or wrong. It's just there to give you a sparkle in the day, a little boost. See, in the last tape, I kind of mentioned this thing about love, and that, you're trying to get past that too. That was in the September tape, I believe. I'm making this May tape much later, and it was like I explained earlier. This May tape is unique because it's what developed the topic of conversation. There was another May tape floating around out there in the universe. This tape, I was interrupted and had to go down to the bottom of the mountain, take care of business, and now continue with the tape. Where I am now is I'm on another ridge completely. I'm on China Mountain. Now, on this finger that sticks out China Mountain, there's this little kind of place, and everything just kind of sits below it in the valley, and that's kind of where we're sitting and looking out. Now, we're sitting in some hot water, so we're in a hot tub, and we're basically looking out from where my front porch would be. And sitting in front of us is Mount Shasta, so this is one of those other rare occasions where I'm doing a tape from a unique location. And it seems in the flow. I was out here talking about house plans and different things, and how to accept change and understanding that, and I see that this tape is kind of coming to an end. So what we're going to do is kind of give you one more little demo as we kind of breeze out on this tape in terms of caring and sharing, and how that sometimes the pauses or spaces between words can kind of lift and move oneself in certain ways, in certain forms. We're sitting up here on top of the mountain, and in the background the birds are singing, and the wind is blowing, and I can feel the wind as it just kind of gently nurtures those beads of sweat that are kind of coming off from the hot water, and I can hear the song of the wind as it plays through my spirit. And you just kind of relax and tune in to the other bodies, to the way we can touch each other, and feeling and knowing and caring, and stretching that at one-ment so that peace that I feel, I can reach out and touch you with that peace. And in that touching and in that sense, we each begin to experience that which we just spent this half of the tape talking about. What is being communicated besides the word? The caring and the knowing and that sense of love as it just kind of drifts. And the consciousness drifts with the wind, and it allows you to be places and think of things